Thank you. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining me. This is now at the 3-year mark since Hot Chili took on the Cordillera acquisition and transformed its development projects on the coastline of Chile, pushing forward now on a large combined development called Costa Fuego. Now, normally I would have an interesting narrative at this talk, but perhaps title my slide with size is everything, but we went with timing as everything because that's really what this has become, a very long investment to finally be positioned right at the front of the queue of the next major copper developments globally. So at the moment, in the next 5 years, we don't have or don't see a lot of new large-scale copper mines coming into production, certainly none outside of the majors. Hot Chili and Jose Maria Resources are the nearest term large-scale copper supply to come to the market at over 100,000 tonnes per annum. So I guess what we're going to talk about today is an update on the project, but most importantly, a year of significant achievements that has really put us in a position that we haven't been in for many, many years. We've attracted the support and backing of Glencore. Our ESG fundamentals on the project are really setting us apart from the other large-scale copper developers in the world. And most importantly, we have a really, really strong thematic behind us, which is a growing copper price against very few large-scale projects becoming available. So 21 was a very, very big year for Hot Chili. We invested heavily in drilling at Cordillera since the maiden resource came out in October 2020. Some 52,000 more metres of drilling have gone into the deposit. We kicked off a pre-feasibility, started reshaping the management group, reshaping the board, and seeing that strategic investment by Glencore in the company in August of last year. That allowed us to take out the ownership over Cordillera. We completed a consolidation of the paper on issue in Hot Chili, and we also completed a very lengthy process to be able to finally list Hot Chili amongst the other senior copper developers in the world on the TSXV. And what that puts us in a position is a very tight capital structure, a project and company that's backing about $160 million market cap, 34 in the bank, another 11 million coming in during the year, and a growing number of institutions coming onto the register from North America. Our top 5 shareholders seeing over 37% of the consolidation on the register, but most importantly, finally an 18-month pathway to drive this deep into definitive feasibility and towards project financing. So we are positioned amongst the largest copper mines in the world. Chile, 7 of the largest 20 copper mines in the world. This is where the copper comes from. It is large-scale production. To give you an idea of how much production you need annually of copper to be in this group, that's somewhere a bit over 340,000 tonnes of copper annually. Or to put that in layman's speak, at the moment, with copper sitting around 10,000 tonne projects that pour about $3.5 billion US of revenue a year just on their copper alone without their byproducts. So we are studying a scale project at Costa Fuego that's at pre-feasibility level now. It's around 100,000 tonnes of copper production and around 70 to 80,000 ounces of gold, along with some silver and molybdenum credits. And we're looking to establish a 20 to 30-year mine life on this project. And those catalysts are about to be on the company, and certainly we're looking to push into a definitive feasibility in the latter part of this year. So we have about 2.9 million tonnes of contained copper in our existing Costa Fuego global resource, separated between Productora and Cordillera, 14 kilometres away. About 2.7 million ounces of gold, and S&P just rated the company outside of the majors as the 6th in the world as undeveloped copper resources in a low-risk jurisdiction. And really it is the fact that we are the only low-altitude play in this space that is seeing near-term production horizons. And I guess what's really exciting about this is 15 months of drilling and in the coming weeks we'll see what that does to that upper tier 2 resource base. There's a few keys to success in big copper. Time is probably the most important one. These projects need to be brought on at the right timing in the copper cycle to be built and to contribute towards a growing supply gap. At the moment, the annual market is somewhere around 23 million tonnes of copper consumed each year. It's the second largest metal market in the world. It overtook gold over a year ago. Gold has now been overtaken by aluminium and is fourth, and sits just behind iron ore. So it's about bringing one of these large-scale things on at the right time. It's about grade. Costa Fuego is in the top 5 by grade in these large-scale projects undeveloped. It's about having doable projects that are large, open, pittable projects, not having to go to massive scale undergrounds in hard-to-develop jurisdictions. It's about getting a few free kicks with metallurgy, not having to use fresh water to process, being next to the coastline, having infrastructure, and being at low altitude. All of these things play into building a multi-generational, large-scale copper mine. But most importantly, it's about hitting your straps at the right time when the copper price is doing great things. So location. This has always been one of our strengths. It is about what I've just spoken about. It's about being in Chile, one of the top 3 mining countries of the world, and having the infrastructure and low altitude to develop a large-scale copper mine amongst the largest in the world. Cortadera, we'll focus on this and just take you through what's happened over the last 15 months. We saw a 450 million tonne resource established in a very short time frame from when we signed the deal 3 years ago to acquire this private discovery. We were producing world-class drill results quite quickly. The resource and the maiden resource came out quite quickly, and now we've really doubled down on this deposit, more than doubled the amount of drilling into it, and we sit just in front of a material resource upgrade to the entire super hub that we're developing. So I guess a year ago we were showing pictures like this, 3 separate porphyries on the discovery, 2.3 kilometre window. So this is now been updated. We've had 3 drill rigs drilling at this for the last 15 months, and of course the team at Hot Chili's being led on the geological side by Dr. Steve Garwin as we've expanded this deposit out. We now look at the window as a linked system, low grade really covering all aspects of the entire window, and I guess the drill results have continued all through last year to position us with quite a number of the world's best drill results in the copper space. When we look at the previous long section of the deposit back in October 2020, you can see we had about 40,000 metres of drilling into this, sitting on already one of only 2 major discoveries made in the copper space since 2016. And we had a large high-grade core on the main porphyry, Cuerpo 3, which extends through the surface. I think I joked last year that it was quite phallic, and luckily our geologists have put a lot more drill holes into it and really filled out the high grade now on Cuerpo 3 and also at the other 2 porphyries. And we've developed a new higher grade core at a grade above 0.6% copper cut-off grade. So these are the resource wireframes now that are now getting estimation by our team, and we'll sit in front of a major resource upgrade in the coming month. We also developed quite a lot of high grade over the top of each of the deposits. A lot of continuity was shone through, and overall the system started to link together. This is just looking down on Cuerpo 3 at the main porphyry. This is not going to just be a large open pit on this porphyry, but this will support a cave operation below it, focusing on this high-grade core and higher-grade core, which we've just defined, material around 1% copper equivalent, bulk tonnage. You can see the dimensions that we've closed up there on the original lighter red high-grade core. It's sitting at about 500 metres by about 400 metres in dimension and extends for 1 kilometre from surface. So this will really feature in extending the resource to reserve conversion. And I guess in a very, very exciting part of our story is finally Hot Chili is in a very strong position with strong cash in the bank, pushing into definitive feasibility and really now having the opportunity to go and explore our land holdings. Within about 4 weeks, we'll have, or 4 to 6 weeks, we'll have 3 drill rigs on the ground. One of the targets there that you're just looking at is a large target that we've defined right next to Productora. Initial holes are going into that and results are pending. But we have 12 of these large-scale targets. This is one of our lower-risk targets, and we'll move through those throughout the year, really trying to define whether Productora and Cortadera have another brother in this large super hub which we're developing. And of course, we want to know that sooner rather than later before we finalise on scale going into the definitive feasibility. We'll also be exploring finally outside of the Cortadera discovery window. So I mentioned, we signed this deal 3 years ago and we've had 2.5 years of drilling on it. That's just been in that 2.3 kilometre box, and it's delivered those type of tonnes on metal. And I guess it's going to be very exciting to finally step down the valley to along strike targets on that host structure, north and south onto larger targets which we defined, and put first drilling into these areas. So the exploration budget is quite healthy this year for the team, and we're looking forward to some success on that front. So as I mentioned, deposits like Cortadera don't come around very often. Rio Tinto's Winu discovery, which you don't hear a lot about these days, was made at about the same time as Cortadera was released. I guess Cortadera has continued to drive very strong drilling results as we continue to expand that deposit. And what that really features in is Hot Chili being very, very entrenched in the top 20 undeveloped copper projects of the world outside of the majors. We'll be moving up that table very shortly. So it's not just about size, it's about where you position with grade, it's about having no arsenic in your concentrate and being able to develop something on the coastline of Chile with infrastructure. And most people know that Hot Chili was very, very keen to get over the TSXV. 5-6 months of working through that to position ourselves against all of the remaining senior copper developers that you saw on that previous slide, all of them residing over in the TSXV, and some of them which you can see there supporting $1.3 billion market capitalisations off very, very similar results in places like Argentina or Ecuador. So on a value parity basis, we're about 4 to 5 times out of the money against our North American peers. We've been on the TSXV for about 1 month. To be honest, I think the company has been catching its breath a little bit, but we're very much looking forward to a very strong marketing effort over to the North American institutions over the coming months as we deliver our next milestones and looking to bridge that valuation gap. So 2022 looks to be as momentous as it was last year. Last year was about de-risking and positioning. This year is about delivering and delivering into what we say we're going to deliver. So we have 18 months of growth and development funding available, 3 rigs on the ground, a resource that'll be out before the end of the quarter. Really importantly, a offtake agreement with Glencore that will provide us with an offtake partner on the sales of our benchmark component of copper concentrate that'll go out in the world in 2026. So we're looking to secure that agreement that will allow Glencore to handle 60% of our production for the first 8 years of this multi-decade project. And in addition, the last final piece of our infrastructure puzzle, an existing port built right next to the project, we'll be looking to secure a definitive agreement to secure that entirely for Costa Fuego. Our pre-feasibility will be out at the end of the year, and I think that we'll be demonstrating something that when you add 1 and 1 together, that hopefully the equation will be more than 3. So very, very much looking forward to kicking off our feasibility work at the end of the year and commencing our financing run towards building this as one of the new emerging large-scale mines of the world in the copper space. So at the moment, I guess we sit here with a very, very significant investment opportunity. These projects take 18 to 21 years to develop, from exploration, discovery, through to production. And that's a very, very unsexy timeline. But when you're at the 12-year mark and you look around at everyone else and you realise that there are no other projects of scale coming into production in the next 5 years, and copper prices at $4.50 a pound, and you run the numbers on this project and you say, well, we're going to have a 20 to 30-year project putting out plus $1 billion US annual revenues in the order of 300 million to 400 million profitability at those kind of pricing levels. You get to start to see the picture in terms of the undervalue that is about to be bridged. We have a very, very low economic and time hurdle to development, and that's really all about timing. So backed by Glencore, with resource catalysts in front of us, with a top 10 low-risk, undeveloped copper project in the world, very much looking forward to quite a lot of growth in the stock and in the share price over the coming year as we push in towards building this thing. So thank you very much.